These are the 5 steps that you need to take to be successful in lifting, and number 5 is the most important, so make sure you watch the whole video to figure it out. So 2 and 3 go together, but starting off with number 1, you have to show up. Believe it or not, you actually have to show up. If you want to be successful in lifting, you have to show up. Now, what do I mean like by show up? Because everybody knows like, yo, you got pull ups to the gym, you got to work out. It's simple as hell. What I mean by showing up is you need to go to the gym, and you need to go to the gym with intent. What is intent? That is like your effort, your energy, your mindset. What is your intent? Your intent that you come to the gym with should be, I want to get bigger, I want to get stronger, and I just want to push really, really freaking hard. And if you show up, and you show up with, the like I said, the intent, mindset. What was the other one that I just said? They show up with intent, mindset, a reason to show up, and you know why you're showing up. Showing up doesn't mean just doing whatever. Showing up, like you just said, intent, mindset, reason. Boom. All right, on to number 2. Like I said, 2 and 3 go together. Stick along. So number 2, take advice. Boom. So take advice. A lot of people don't like to hear what other people have to say. And honestly, I'm similar to that way. But what I did learn over time to be, long-term successful in lifting, is that I actually do have to take advice. I have to listen to what people say. You know what I'm saying? I have to, if somebody's going to give me a tip, I have to at least listen and hear that person out. I need to hear their reasoning. I need to ask questions, Just taking advice isn't even going to do it, Like, let's put a dash, question why they're giving you this advice, reason, same as here, reason with the advice, well, what do you think about it? And really think deeply about advice that people will give you in the gym, because you'll never know. Someone may give you some advice that puts you to the next level. All right, so then moving on to number 3. Stick with me here. This is going to be understand advice. So, what does it mean between take advice and understand advice? Basically, if you take advice from everybody in the whole wide world, you are going to be going a million different paths. You will look like a tree that literally never stops sprouting. And that's not exactly what you want to do, because if you're focused so much on one thing, you're going to forget about the other. And if someone tells you, oh, arch when you're benching, oh, don't arch when you're benching, lats tight, allow the bar to sink. If you're thinking about all these things, you're really just going to be this tree that is just sprouting and never going straight up in a line, right? Because if you think about progress that you want, real quick, I'm just going to draw this diagram. Progress never just goes like this. That is not the way it works. But what progress does look like is it looks like something like this. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, and ultimately you just continue to try to go up. But if you are listening to all sorts of advice, you can find yourself, instead of that graph, let me do this with the green marker so you guys see what I'm saying. Instead of this graph, if you listen to everything that everyone says, you may find yourself going something like this. Hold on. Oh man, of course this marker doesn't want to work. Whatever. Let me do it with the other marker. My bad. Technical difficulties. All right. You're going to find yourself going something like this. You're going to do this. The highs may be higher and the lows may be lower. You are going to be bouncing all over the place compared to, if just the ideal range, which is something like that. So how do you understand advice? You take advice for what it is. You look at the person giving you the advice. If somebody, who isn't exactly strong on bench, let's say that they have a 600-pound squat, but they're only benching, 315, and you're benching 285, and they're giving you advice on bench. Maybe it's worth it because you guys are built similar to listen to them, but it's also maybe not worth it because, maybe they might not know what they're doing, when it comes to the bench press, because they're clearly a squat specialist. So you have to understand when to take the advice. I'm going to add this right here. Understand when. understand when to take the advice. And you have to understand that all advice may not add up to you. It might be good advice, but it may not be good advice for you. And that is what a lot of people get wrong because, either they don't want to take advice at all or they just want to take tips and tricks from everybody. Well, no, you have to find the median. You have to figure out, all right, well, this person gave me a great tip here, but the same person gave me a bad tip that I'm really not going to use. So you have to take the advice, these two go together. You have to take the advice, you have to question it, you have to reason with it, and then you have to understand when to take the advice. Boom. There we go. All right, on to number 4. You have to recover. Now, this is simple. Everybody's going to tell you have to recover, but what does it actually mean to recover? Let's break down what it actually means to recover. When you are recovering, this does not just mean your body. This doesn't just mean getting some extra sleep. This doesn't just mean keeping up on your nutrients, stuff like that. You need to recover your mind, body, and soul. This is a 3-part process. Believe it or not, lifting is almost 100% mind related. Sure, you see these guys, lifting these big weights and they have these big muscles, everything. But if they were not able to recover their mind and grow their mind and take their mind to the next level, they would not be doing what you see them doing, to put it simply. So you have to recover your mind. And what do I mean by recovering your mind? How do you recover your mind? So let's say you miss a lift. You have a bad day. We all have bad days, right? It happens. It happens to me all the time. Look at my deadlift. It went get down for a year and a half due to an injury. Terrible, right? How did I recover my mind to get back onto the right track? How do you do that? How do you do that, right? What you do is you have to really sit down and you have to take the time to recover, not just recover sitting in a massage chair or whatever, but to lay down, maybe meditate and really think deeply about, what has gone wrong? How can I make my mindset, not get affected by this failure? How can I just recover and get back to where I was? Let's say you hit a PR, let's say you deadlifted 405, and then another day you try deadlift 405 and you miss it. How can I recover not just my body so I'm able to lift it again? How can I recover your mind? And part of that is also up to you to figure out yourself. But that is something that you must focus on. The recovery of everything about you. You need to recover everything, not just sleeping and eating. It's about the mind and body and soul as well. All right, number 5, what I said, the most important. You have to understand lifting. Boom. What does it mean to understand lifting? Does anybody really understand lifting? I'll answer both those questions right now. So, honestly, what does it mean to understand lifting? It means to understand the process of lifting a weight. You have to understand, okay, so if I get stronger, in theory, I should be able to lift a heavier weight. But you also have to keep in mind that there is a fact that if I get stronger, I may not be able to lift a heavier weight. You have to understand and truly know in your heart that lifting is so much more than just getting stronger. It's about getting mentally stronger. It's about making emotional wins. It's not just about making a stronger lifting or just being a stronger lifter. And a lot of people won't understand lifting until they're into it for years because you really in the beginning, like I said, there's these graphs and I said it never really goes linear. But honestly, in the beginning for most people, I'm just going to draw this right here. Most people's lifting kind of goes like this. That's the way it goes in the beginning. A lot of people don't realize though, once they hit about, I'll put Y3, year 3 in there, it starts to get a little bit of a rocky road. And you start to understand that, hey, lifting isn't perfect. And I need to understand my lifting, myself, everything like that to continue to keep an upward trend, even though I understand lifting where there's going to be setbacks and the rest of my journey upwards isn't always going to look like this. It's more going to look like this. You see what I'm saying? So that is what it's like to understand lifting. But I really can't tell you how to understand lifting. That's something that you just kind of have to come up with over time. But it's something that you really should reflect on all the time is, am I understanding lifting? Or am I just trying to get bigger and stronger and be big gym bro? And then to answer the second part of the question, can anybody ever truly understand lifting? Honestly, I think no. I think you could try to get an understanding of lifting, right? So I kind of understand, yes, that this is the way progress goes, but nobody will ever really know the way progress will go. Nobody ever knows, like, hey, you know, for my body, I'm gonna be able to do this day, this day, this day, and not this on this day, and blah, 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 perfect program. I really don't think anybody will ever be able to do that because of how complex the body is. But you have to understand lifting enough to understand a graph like this, to understand the way your body functions, to understand the way, you know, your progress is gonna go. But no, nobody will have the perfect graph laid out, know everything. Like, no, not that part. So here were the 5 steps that you need to know to be successful in lifting. Obviously, number 1, showing up, pretty easy. Taking advice, pretty easy. Understanding the advice, a little bit more difficult. Recovering, but not just the body, and you know, sleeping, more the mind and the soul too. That is, you know, that's more advanced. And then understanding lifting overall. This is something that's going to take you probably years to understand. But I'm telling you, once you figure these 5 out, your lifting will be much more enjoyable and it will be much more longevitable, if that's even a word. But hopefully you guys learned something today. Go ahead, like and subscribe. Blake will start on the help. Peace.